KY News right now at 5.
You can feel the heat from far away, and we make a decision, run for our lives.
Right now at 5, tragedy strikes as a UPS plane crashed at the Louisville airport. 11 people now confirmed dead, including a child, and more than a dozen still unaccounted for. While many survivors ran for their lives amid explosions as smoke and fire filled the sky.
These are tough times. We will get through it together.
The governor declared a state of emergency. Federal investigators are now on scene, and local crews are continuing to search for more victims. 24 hours later, daylight is revealing the scope of the tragedy. The debris field stretches half a mile. NTSB is on the runway right now investigating. 11 people, once again, are now confirmed dead, including that child we told you about. The NTSB confirmed for us that the MD-11 freighter's left wing caught fire and its engine fell off just before takeoff Tuesday evening. We have live team coverage for you tonight. We are hearing from witnesses and survivors who saw the crash, plus first responders and new details about how U of L Hospital played a critical role in the tragedy. But first, let's start with Jennifer Bayless, who has the latest from investigators out at the airport. Jennifer?
Well, Rick, we just got updates from the NTSB, the Transportation Department, and other officials. And here's the very latest, what we know at this hour. Investigators have recovered the plane's black box or voice recorder. And while there is heat damage to that black box, investigators say that they expect to be able to recover some data from that black box. 11 people are confirmed dead, including all 3 crew members on that UPS plane. Another 16 people still unaccounted for tonight. We also know 2 patients are still in critical condition at the hospital tonight. JCPS announced it will be open tomorrow after being closed today. And Alexis Matthews joins me now to talk about the NTSB, or the National Transportation Safety Board, part of this. You were in that meeting. What's the very latest?
Well, Jennifer, today is not as chaotic as yesterday, but still far from normal, and things being back to normal here in Louisville after Tuesday's deadly crash. And the number one question now is, how did this happen? And federal investigators are now in Louisville to try and answer some of those questions. Now, today, for the first time, we heard from the National Transportation Safety Board, who is leading the charge with 28 agency members who will be on the ground in Louisville. Now, they were able to confirm through security footage that the left engine detached from the plane's wing during takeoff. But their main mission is to find out what caused this deadly crash and also issue a report to prevent it from happening again. Now, NTSB officials say the key to that is the black box they were miraculously able to recover from the debris, with voice and data recorders from the cockpit, which will clue investigators into those moments leading up to that fiery crash, as well as what malfunctioned and what caused the fire in that left engine. Now, it does have heat damage, but NTSB believes they'll still be able to retrieve that data.
We don't know until it gets to Washington, D.C. I will tell you that they're manufactured to a very specific standard. Luckily, they were not in a post-impact fire for multiple days or on the bottom of the ocean. So while the fire may have been intense, it is built to withstand that. And once we get them to D.C. and we can open them up and take these steps, and sometimes we have to take multiple steps, now it will be multiple, or at least several days before we have a readout of those.
Now, NTSB has several groups, including operations, structure, power plants, which are examinations of that engine, their systems and maintenance, and they'll all hold their first organizational meeting tonight. And we expect NTSB to be here for this week or even longer. But officials are clear on a few things. They will not determine the cause of the crash this week. They do not believe federal staffing shortages contributed to this crash, and said that rumors about that UPS plane being delayed prior to takeoff due to maintenance for an issue with that same left engine, those were not true. Now, Jennifer, we can expect the NTSB's crash report possibly in the next 30 days. So this is going to be a process process that's going to take some time from a lot of angles.
And you're hearing right now several UPS planes taking off here from the airport. Now, Alexis, also there's a lot of talk, especially online, about people trying to predict what happened, what caused this. But Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy spoke in D.C. today about this tragedy, warning people not to jump to conclusions on what exactly caused this crash.
There are a lot of videos online. A lot of theories have been deployed online based on what folks have seen. We are not in the business of theories. We don't speculate. We are going to wait for the facts to come out, and with those facts, we will present them to the American people as well as with the NTSB. I'd also note the FAA has a ground team in conjunction with the NTSB, both of them are doing great work to get to the facts of what happened. I do want to extend my condolences to the families of those who lost loved ones in the crash.
And we also just heard from the mayor and Governor Beshear. They visited the site today where the plane first made impact here at the Louisville airport, along with where it came to rest, where it stopped. Beshear described that devastation that he saw.
As governor, I've seen a lot. I've had to order freezer trucks in a pandemic. I've walked the line of an F4 tornado through my dad's hometown. I've seen towns hit by flooding we'd only describe as biblical, and what this scene is violent. Where the plane hit, at best, is destroyed. What you see are mangled remnants of what was in its path, completely burnt and blackened.
And as that plane plowed through businesses, it exploded right in front of the Kentucky Truck Parts and Services Center right off of Grade Lane. And WLKY's Madison Elliott is live there now after speaking with workers there who really, Madison, barely escaped the explosion.
They narrowly escaped it, Jennifer, and they're grateful to be alive. Their security cameras capture the moment the plane crashes and explodes.
Security cameras on the front gate of Kentucky Truck Parts and Service shows the pure devastation and chaos as the UPS cargo plane crashed. Employees Sabit Aliyev and David Aslanov captured the moments following as flames and black smoke filled the sky and consumed the air.
All the fuel from plane was all over the oil tanks and that junkyard place.
They also captured the exact moment when they had to make a split-second decision.
The next thing we know, we just walk out of a shop, it's like maybe 10 feet, and flames were so bad. You can feel the heat from far away. We make a decision, run for our lives.
But they quickly realized they were trapped as the flames spread.
We'll look for exit for like hour and a half.
What was going through your head?
A lot of things.
Yeah. I mean,
trying to
that's
get
what you're gonna
back.
go through your head when you feel it's can be end of your life.
Finally, they found a path and a gate, but they couldn't get out. Luckily, cops were nearby.
I just turned my flasher on, him and me, we started yelling, whistling. So finally they came around, and I told them to bring bolt cutters.
With Grade Lane still closed Wednesday, they couldn't get back to their business. They were unsure of how their neighbors were doing, which was their top concern.
Well, human beings, they have the same life as mine.
Their business is just off of Grade Lane here. Grade Lane remains closed off, this section where their business is, and they were not able to get there today. Jennifer, back to you.
All right, thank you, Madison. And what we had feared, that death toll continues to rise. We're told officials say that 12 people are now confirmed dead. Now, one man who lived just steps from the UPS crash site says he's really lucky to be alive, even as he mourns friends who didn't make it, who died. WLKY's DeAndrea Turner joins us live with his story of surviving this horrific crash, DeAndrea.
Jennifer, well, Robert, he lived and worked at Grade A, which is about 3 blocks this way. It has been blocked off ever since this crash happened. And when I spoke to Robert, he tells me that he is very shaken up, but he is also very grateful to be alive tonight.
I started hearing this real loud, like rumbling, roaring sound, and I stepped outside the bay door there and looked, and the only thing I could see was black smoke and flames, fireballs.
12 years, Robert Sanders worked as a maintenance man at Grade A Auto Parts and Recycling. He also lived in his RV on site. On Tuesday, the place he called home became part of ground zero of the UPS plane crash.
I had just been in my RV like 2 minutes earlier, and I came down there to Building 12.
Moments later, the unthinkable, a plane filled with jet fuel came crashing down, ripping straight through his RV.
You think about that kind of thing 1,000 times, you know, what would happen if a plane crash, but you don't think it ever really happened, but then it happened.
Now all that he has left are the clothes on his back and his truck. But what haunts him the most are the faces of the 3 friends he'll never see again.
I got 3 friends, close friends that are gone.
Visibly shaken, he says the memories still play on loop. The sound of the explosion, the smell of the smoke, reminders of how fast life can change.
It was terrifying. I'd never been that scared, you know. It's still messing with me.
And again tonight, Jennifer, he knew 3 out of the 12 victims, and he says that he is just very thankful to be alive. And while he doesn't have a job and while he doesn't have a home right now, the one thing that he is holding on to is his will to survive. In Louisville tonight, DeAndrea Turner, WLKY News.
Thank you, DeAndrea. Here live from the Louisville Airport, UPS planes continue to take off. We want to go back now to the studio with Rick Van Hoos. And Rick, as we come upon that 24-hour mark here in about 5 minutes of when this all happened, it's eerily beautiful here tonight.
Just like it was yesterday, but boy, that was just some tremendous reporting there. Those video and the sound was amazing. We'll check back in with you in a minute, Jennifer. Thank you. Well, tonight, we're also hearing from U of L Health about their critical role after the crash. U of L is the city's only Level 1 trauma center. The hospital activated Code Yellow, their disaster response plan, within minutes of the crash. The injuries range from burns and blast wounds to smoke inhalation. The leaders say triage wasn't a challenge, that their staff was fully prepared and immediately ready to handle the worst-case scenario.
I think it talks to the level and dedication of our staff. Even before we declared the disaster alert, when people started seeing this on social media or the news and we didn't know what was occurring, we had folks really starting to come back in and we're staging. They said, I'm in the parking lot in my car, call if you need me. I'm in the cafeteria, I came back into work. And I think that just talks to the dedication of the people here at U of L Health. Like, this is what we do. This is why we're here. We're here to serve the community. It's a role that we take very seriously and we're honored to be a part of.
Do it well. Well, some businesses very close to the crash site are being told to not drink their tap water. Louisville Water says about 50 customers are under a consumer advisory notice. Those impacted are along Grade Lane from Walters Lane up to the railroad tracks by Crittenden Drive. And also Knopp and Melton Avenue between Grade Lane and Walters Lane. Louisville Water says that they are continuing to test the water and in that impacted area. Now, there was also some concern about the air quality. And Jay, how is it now?
Yeah, actually, it cleared up last night, too. The deeper we got into the evening, the air quality is actually in pretty good shape. Let's get to it. Outside, as you can see, bright sunshine. We've had these gusty southwesterly winds helping to mix up the atmosphere, but there's the latest air quality around the metro. You see the blue dot, you see the green dots. Bottom line, we have fair to good air quality, something we've seen for the better part of today, even going back to last night around 10, 11 o'clock and through the overnight. Of course, there's SDF, and the site immediately to the east-northeast is glowing green right now, so fair air quality. On top of that, the wind has been blowing pretty good, as you know, throughout the course of the afternoon, now into almost the evening hours from the west-southwest, and those winds are helping to mix up the air as well, and that really helps with air quality, and that trend will continue, obviously, as we move deeper into the evening. Having said that, we still have the shelter in place. Now, basically, a quarter mile from Grade Lane, it's basically the crash site where there's still all the operations ongoing. And traffic, it's been rough in spots around the metro. Meteorologist Suzanne Horgan has been tracking that traffic, so to speak. Suzanne, what's the latest?
And we're still watching for some closures, Jay, right in that area. So we certainly want you to let you know about that before you head out the door here. So we're still watching for that closure of Grade Lane, basically from 65 all the way down to Outer Loop. We're seeing that closure there. A quick reminder here. So the 65 on and off ramps are now back open. Those were shut down last night and all of today. They have now reopened this afternoon. 65 is moving smoothly. This is right near Eastern Parkway. The Watterson is also moving just fine in that area right near the airport. Right now at 5:14, let's send it back over to Rick.
Thanks, Suzanne. Now, air traffic is slowly getting back to normal out at the Louisville airport. We will have a live report for you next on WLKY News.
And UPS planes are continuing to take off here at the Louisville International Airport following yesterday's deadly crash of a UPS cargo plane here in Louisville. I'm joined now by retired UPS pilot Captain Norman Seawright. Captain Seawright, thank you so much for taking the time during this very difficult time. We know that the UPS family is a very large family. Your heart's breaking right now. We did want to talk about some things that people are talking about as far as this crash goes. A lot of people have seen the video of the crash with the engine that was on fire. In your perspective, was there anything that the pilot could have done, maybe when he made that last-ditch turn, to prevent this from happening?
Oh, wow. My God. Honestly, Jennifer, probably not. There are some things that we haven't even talked about, and that includes the flaps, the ailerons, the hydraulics, the pneumatics. All of that comes into play on that left side. Once you lose that engine, the possibility of all of those components being gone exists very highly. So that could have been one of the problems that may exist. And I know those pilots, and I know how well they fly, and I know how well they think. And in an instant like that, I know we talked this morning when I was talking to Carrie, in an instant like that, it's easy to try to make a maneuver. And sometimes you can do all you can do and it just doesn't respond like you want it to. But there is nothing, I don't think there's anything they could have done than what they did do to try to get the aircraft up away from the field, away from populated areas. And
is it a situation where this all happened so fast they wouldn't have been able to abort the takeoff?
Now, that's speculative, but the probability is yes. The probability. Now, I can't say for sure, but seeing the video like you all saw, it just happened so quick. And as I talked to Carrie this morning, I was telling her that time slows down in our head once we get into that flight or fight mode, and we can see things really clearly, and we try to minimize whatever damage we think may cause this thing. And remember too, I mentioned this morning, they're trained very well. And these scenarios of engine failure, engine loss, engine fire, over the course of 10, 15 years that these pilots have been flying, but even before they get to UPS, they've probably gone through tremendous scenarios with turbine engine aircraft to have engine failure and how to respond to it correctly.
Well, before we let you go, I do want to ask you, this is a heavily populated area. We have Ford, just to name one of the many businesses that exist here along this crash site. Is it possible that the pilots made a last-ditch effort to avoid a populated area there?
I can tell you from a I'm going to say training perspective. I don't know if you were around when Flight 6 happened in Dubai. I can tell you that pilot was thinking that way, and all of our pilots, when we were training them, when I was with UPS, we trained them to think, what are the possibilities? What are you going to do when this happens? And where are you going to go? And if we can minimize the damage, yes. And I'm sure we think that they were thinking that way when they took off, because we talked about the go, no-go speed. And I mentioned this morning that if the engine had failed prior to a certain speed, they would have rejected the takeoff. After that, if it caught on fire, we're committed for the takeoff. And once we're committed, now what are we going to do? We want to track straight as we can, or if we have a procedure that takes us away from other people or populated areas, that's what we're going to do.
All right, Captain Norman Seawright, retired from UPS. Our heart just breaks for you guys, and our prayers and thoughts are with you guys and the whole UPS family. Thank you so much for your time. All right, we're going to head back into the studio with Rick.
All right, thanks, Jennifer. Well, WLKY's Jamie Mays is inside the terminal at the Louisville International Airport. And Jamie, how are things running out there today?
Rick, yesterday we showed you around as operations here at the airport had shut down. Today, you can see behind me here, TSA is back up and running. You can see businesses are open. People are in the sitting area. There are passengers finally arriving here at the airport. And I have not spoken to one person yet who's told me their flight has been canceled. SDF officials tell me all departing and arriving flights have resumed. They currently have one runway open, and they hope to have a second open later today. Airport officials tell us there were some cancellations earlier today, but this afternoon we're seeing flights which are on time or possibly delayed.
All day last night, flight was normal. I kept checking the app and everything, the website. But when we finally got here about an hour ago, looked up at the screen and it said it was delayed for 5 hours. But, you know, 5 hours delay is nothing compared to what those people are going through.
And SDF is reminding people, if you are departing and arriving here to the airport, to check your flight status. Back to you, Rick.
Thanks, Jamie. And Jay Cardosi joins us now in the Weather Center. And Jay, I mean, it's a beautiful fall day once again, but we're burdened by this tragedy that happened at the airport last night. But beautiful fall day.
Yeah, and no question about it. I mean, the weather on the breezy side, the warm side, those temperatures well above average, as you mentioned. It's just a shame that this beautiful weather is overshadowed by this horrendous accident. And again, thoughts and prayers to all the victims' families out there. Weather-wise, yeah, as you can see, it's clear. It's wonderful out there right now. Look at the big picture. I'm watching a big change off to the northwest. That's coming this weekend. I'll tell you what it means on the 7-day. That's coming up next.
Now, your WLKY weather with Chief Meteorologist Jay Cardosi.
Hey, weather-wise, as you know, we really squeaked out a beautiful day across the region. A bit breezy, but temperatures well above average into the low 70s this afternoon. Well, looking out, this is Friday. Widely scattered showers are likely to move in. Not the entire day, but for a small portion of your Friday. A little bit of impact weather there. A few more showers will likely invade Saturday night. Saturday itself is looking pretty good. That looks to be the pick of the weekend because, boy, is it going to turn much colder Sunday night into Monday morning. As a matter of fact, maybe a couple of flurries getting in here Sunday night, Monday morning. Nothing that's going to stick, but the change of seasons, right? All right, here's Friday morning. As you can see, a little wind shift line, a dying front is going to be approaching the area. Clouds will thicken up, and by 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning, extending to about 2 or 3 Friday afternoon, we'll have that chance for a few widely scattered showers. Really nothing more than that. The system seems to be weakening the closer we get to the actual event, and then those skies will be clearing out as we move into Friday night. But the bottom line for Friday, yeah, widely scattered showers, a possibility from late morning to early to mid-afternoon. Now, as we move beyond that, we're looking at the big change, the colder change. Watch what happens Sunday into Monday. Look at this jet stream pattern. Huge dip forms right across the eastern one half of the lower 48. The colder air comes plummeting down from the north. This is going to be the coldest air we've seen so far this season. On top of that, it could be cold enough that we squeeze out a couple of snow flurries late Sunday night on into Monday morning. Really nothing more than that, but that's the big change headed in our direction. Now, it's gorgeous outside now at 68. It'll stay beautiful through the evening. Get kind of chilly. We'll settle back to 43 or so by tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon's a nice day. Enjoy it. Lots of sunshine, 63. As we look out on the 3-day forecast, there's a little bit of impact weather Friday, that chance for widely scattered showers. Saturday right now, Rick, during the day looks just fine. It's Saturday night. A few more showers will be possible, and that's with the sharper cold front that ushers in that chilly air. Look at those highs. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 40s. Matter of fact, there's a chance that a few folks may hold in the upper 30s on Monday afternoon. And yeah, there could be a flurry around Monday morning, but big temperature change on the way. The old roller coaster ride.
Yes, it is, certainly, for sure. All right, thanks, Jay.
Sure.
We are continuing to follow the deadly UPS plane crash. We now know 12 people, including a young child, died in that crash. You're taking a live look from the WLKY News chopper over the scene right now as the NTSB. We have 28 federal officials in town doing their investigation.
You're watching WLKY News.
Lucky to be alive, a building mere feet from the runway where the UPS plane crashed. A worker inside shows us how close it came. Plus the impact of all the smoke. The environmental expert explains why people who live in the area may be feeling ill today. But first, dozens of federal investigators are on the ground in the rubble of the crash scene as we learn more about what happened to the plane. 12 people have now died and at least 16 others are still unaccounted for. 15 people were injured in the crash. Jennifer Bayless is live for us tonight at the airport with the latest on the investigation. Jennifer?
Well, Rick, there's so much still unknown as we just passed that 24-hour mark of when all of this happened here at the Louisville International Airport. UPS planes continue to take off here tonight. Now, we did just get updates from the NTSB, the Transportation Department, and other local officials. Here's the latest. Investigators have recovered the very important black boxes or voice recorders from the cockpit. And while we're told there's some heat damage to it, it's been charred a bit, they do expect to be able to get some valuable data from those black boxes. 12 people are confirmed dead, including all 3 crew members, all 3 of those UPS crew members that were on board that plane. A handful of people are still tonight unaccounted for, missing. JCPS announced it will be open tomorrow after being closed today because of all of this that happened yesterday. Now, we recently heard from the mayor and the governor who spoke about the damage that they actually witnessed and saw for the first time today here at the crash site. Greenberg described the scene as, quote, devastating beyond words.
The impact and intensity of the wreckage, of the charred wreckage, is unlike anything I've ever seen before, and certainly nothing that I ever want to see again. The vast size of the debris field where the plane crashed in flames is completely heartbreaking.
Yeah, there are dozens of businesses here in this area. It's a very populated and busy area where this plane crashed. Many were actually damaged by some of the debris from the crash. Addie Miners spoke to one man who was actually inside one of those buildings, clipped by the wing of that UPS plane as it went down. Addie?
Jennifer, yes, I did. Khalil Love says he's worked in that UPS logistics building that sits at the end of that runway for around a year. And he says even though it's only about 500 feet from the end of that runway, he tells me he never even considered a plane coming crashing through their building until yesterday when it did.
We lived by a very narrow margin because if they didn't manage to pull up, I think I wouldn't be standing here right now.
Khalil Love says he's thankful to be alive. That's because the building where he works is about 500 feet away from the end of the runway at SDF, where Tuesday afternoon, a plane came this close to crashing straight into his logistics warehouse.
We hear planes all the time, but this one sounded like super close. All of a sudden, we just hear like a smack, I guess. The whole ground's shaking. It's all solid concrete. And, then the power just cut.
Love's building, which is owned by UPS and houses logistics for multiple companies, was clipped by the wing of the plane. Love says he had no idea what happened until his coworker came in from outside.
She's screaming at the top of her lungs like, oh my God, we need to leave. We need to get out of here. We see the plume of smoke just starting to rise out of the sky. Where the plume of smoke was exactly where GFL sat. And I was like, did that place just blow up? And, my boss was like, there's no time to worry about that. We got to go.
Love says all 25 of his coworkers jumped into cars and took off. That's when he filmed this video.
Me personally, I was just kind of like, this is not happening right now. There's no way that something this substantial just happened. But it did.
Love says he has not been back to his work since the accident, but he has confirmed that all of his coworkers are okay. Now he says he's shaken, but thankful to be alive.
It was just mind-boggling that, we all just came so close to being wiped off the census.
Now, Khalil tells me he's not sure when exactly he's going to be able to get back to work or when it will even be safe for them to return to their building. All he knows right now is that they've been instructed not to get near the premises. Live from Outer Loop in Grade Lane, I'm Addie Miners, WLKY News.
Thank you, Addie. And right after that crash yesterday, and neighbors surrounding the airport here, smoke filled the air. It filled the neighborhoods. Debris also from the crash rained down on many of the homes and the businesses surrounding this area. Several residents reported finding debris in their yard this morning, including charred papers that may have actually come from inside the plane itself. The documents appeared to be financial paperwork with some listing Hawaii on them. That was actually the planned destination of the plane.
So we were trying to stay on top of things. We didn't know if we should go to the basement. We didn't know, we started putting towels under the doors to keep the smoke from coming in. Turned off our AC and our heat.
Yeah, she did all the right things there. Several residents also reported sore throats and headaches this morning as well due to all that smoke in the air. Now, the Okolona Fire Department was the first to respond. This was within their district. To the scene here was the lead agency for many hours. They worked so hard last night from the time this happened around 5:14, 5:15, and still today. The chief said today, while the situation is tragic, he is thankful because it really could have been much worse.
We're so lucky, to be honest with you. This is not a residential area. Thank God that some of the employees had already left, being after 5 o'clock, so it could have been more catastrophic for us.
And while cleanup, recovery, and the investigation continues after yesterday's crash, environmental researchers say smoke and debris needs to be monitored. It's a very serious situation. Our Norman Seawright is live. And Norman, what have you learned about that aspect of this investigation?
Well, Jennifer, it's very much related to what you just said. People have been feeling not well, been feeling ill, having headaches in the aftermath of this crash. I talked to the head of U of L's Environment Institute, and he says while the first 48 hours are critical to monitor for health impacts, especially in the immediate vicinity of the airport and in those shelter-in-place zones, exposure to smoke, to ash, to debris can have both immediate and long-term health consequences. Respiratory issues would be something obvious that you would look out for, but Dr. Aruni Bhatnagar says with substances like jet fuel and anything else that burned in the crash, some of the other symptoms you may experience are definitely cause for concern.
We need to worry about acute effects, and these could be things ranging from headache and dizziness to asthma attacks, and to be able to breathe properly at that particular time. In fact, in some sensitive people, we've had evidence that exposure could trigger heart attacks and things like that if they're exposed to high levels of these emissions. So those are, hourly, few hours after that. Then things sort of, as the plume goes away, the effects disappear, and there is hopefully not many, many long-term effects. But some sensitive people, there could be lingering effects, especially for pregnant people. So that's a special class of group of people, and very old people or very young children who may be exposed.
If you are experiencing any of these symptoms, some of them could even be neurological. It is definitely important that you see a medical provider, your own provider, or just go seek some medical attention. Dr. Bhatnagar says even weeks after this crash, you should still be monitoring for any of these health side effects. Live tonight, Norman Seawright, WLKY News.
All right, thank you, Norman. And Jay, you see there, Norman didn't have any breathing problems with it, but what about the air quality from that area? What's changed?
Air quality has improved drastically from this time yesterday. Clear reason why. That was the plume as it looked about this time yesterday. Well, look at the difference. There you go. I mean, we have clear skies, the winds out of the west-southwest, mixing up the atmosphere. Air quality really improved as we moved deeper into last night, through the overnight, and much of the day today. Here are the latest numbers, so to speak, on the air quality around the metro. There's the International Airport, of course, the crash site, and immediately off to the northeast, there's a reading right there, and this is monitoring at least some fair air quality at this point in the game. Matter of fact, all sites are good or fair. And again, we have that mixing going on with the wind coming in from the west-southwest. So again, that's why the air quality has improved. Yes, we put out the fire, obviously. Things have improved at the crash site, and the mixing of the air has also really helped out as well. Now again, traffic problems were a nightmare, especially down near the airport yesterday, late afternoon, last night. But Suzanne Horgan, things have improved throughout the day today, and right now, is that a fact?
Well, we've opened up some of the ramps, so that's some good news. We're still seeing some slow traffic, some congestion in the area. It's not clear if this is traffic headed to the airport, but this is Waterson westbound, right near Poplar Level Road. And you can see on the approach to the airport exit, we are certainly seeing some slow traffic here this evening. So we're going to be watching for that. Also, we obviously still have some closures with investigators out there. We have that huge crash scene. Grade Lane is going to be shut down from right near 65 to Outer Loop. Now, from earlier today, we do have a change to tell you about. The 65 on and off ramps are now back open from Fern Valley Road. Right now at 5:42, let's send it back over to Rick.
All right, thanks, Suzanne. WLKY News Chopper has been live on the scene and providing us great pictures. You can see here crews are still on the tarmac there surveying as the NTSB has 28 folks in town to conduct the investigation. Still ahead tonight, we're hearing from the Zoneton Fire Department. After they rushed to the scene last night, they were first on scene and took control. They described what they saw.
Well, flights have resumed here at the Muhammad Ali International Airport after many were either delayed or canceled following that UPS crash yesterday. Our Blakely McHugh was at the airport earlier today talking with some passengers who had to spend the night at the airport.
Flights have slowly been getting back on track throughout the day here at the Louisville airport, but it was a much different story this morning when practically every flight was either canceled or delayed. It was a long night for travelers at Muhammad Ali Airport Tuesday night.
Well, I read for about 7 or 8 hours. So.
Steve was supposed to be heading to Philadelphia when the UPS plane crashed, halting operations at SDF.
Everybody understood. It was different. I've flown a lot, and people were very sensitive to it, and they realized people had died in the UPS flight because there's no way somebody didn't die. And
with flights canceled and rescheduled, and even the rescheduled flights in limbo, he and dozens of others decided to stay the night at the airport.
About 50 people here overnight. We all figured out the chairs that were uncomfortable and then the floor. And
Aisha's plane was on the runway and getting ready to take off when crew members came on saying they'd have to deplane.
And they said that there'd been an incident and they recommended that folks deplane and head to the ticket counter to start figuring out getting rebooked.
Out the windows, passengers saw black smoke billowing in the distance, and it wasn't until a few minutes later they learned what happened.
I think people were definitely like a little stressed. No one likes to have their plans disrupted, but obviously it's a horrible circumstance.
For people whose flights were scheduled to take off this morning, some people were concerned they'd be canceled.
I figured I might be staying in Louisville another day, instead of going back to Phoenix.
We did speak to a few people who work here at the airport. They said today feels very heavy and somber. Despite having disaster training, they say nothing prepares you for it to actually happen. At Louisville Muhammad Ali Airport, I'm Blakely McHugh, WLKY News.
All right, thank
Blakely.
you.
And as of right now, I have checked the arrivals and departures, Rick, and most all flights are now on time here at the airport.
That is good news. All right, thanks, Jennifer. Well, the Zone 10 Fire Department was one of many agencies that responded to the plane crash. Our Joyce O'Geary spoke with an expert about the training that prepares them for emergencies like this.
This is probably one of the biggest responses our community has seen in a long time.
Firefighters prepare for the worst-case scenario, including mass casualty events like a plane crash.
And this is what we call a three-dimensional fire. You know, it's spread all over, plus going left, right, and up. Those things can be challenging.
50 fire trucks responded to the UPS plane crash Tuesday, including Zone 10.
They all played some role in the response, whether it was at the scene or whether it was to keep, you know, the other parts of the community safe while the firefighters were contending with the incident.
Firefighters from all over the region stepped in to help. We spoke to Zone 10 Fire to tell us what it takes to get a fire like this under control.
It was a plane crash, a hazardous materials incident, automobile accident with people trapped in cars, you know, building searches, collapsed buildings, and so on. So there is a lot of skill sets to be put together.
That's why training starts early, including preparing for plane crashes, which is part of the initial firefighters training.
You know, they will do hazardous materials training. They will do, you know, search and rescue, structural collapse training. Many fire departments were with the airport at their mass casualty drill, keeping the skills sharp.
First responders took part in a large-scale emergency drill at the airport just last month.
And, you know, it's really a testament to everybody's commitment to do what they can to make things go well for the community.
In Louisville, Joyce O'Geary, WLKY News.
And Zone 10 Fire tells us that they have returned to the station for now, but they are ready to head back out if more help is needed. Stay with us. Jay's forecast is next.
Now, your WLKY weather with Chief Meteorologist Jay Cardosi.
All right, we squeaked out a great day across the region weather-wise, a bit breezy, but my goodness, those temperatures well above average, topping out in the low 70s. So next chance for rain. It's a decent chance. It's not going to last all day, but late morning through about mid-afternoon on Friday, a few widely scattered showers are expected to move on through. Another batch of light showers as we move on into Saturday night. Those showers Saturday night mark a cold front, and a decent cold front, a strong cold front that will usher in much colder air. Even a couple of snow flurries, believe it or not, will be possible later Sunday night into Monday morning of next week. No flurries out there now, of course, way too warm, and it's going to stay quiet. The winds will subside as we move through the night. Temperatures will cool back into the low 40s in town by tomorrow morning, even some 30s in the outlying regions. So yeah, it's going to be a little bit chilly when you wake up on your Thursday morning. Lots of clear skies right now, but a cold front is working through. And as this pushes on through, of course, the warm conditions we had earlier in the day will turn into chilly conditions by tomorrow morning. There you go. Outlying regions, middle and upper 30s to kick off your Thursday, to around 42 in the downtown area. But boy, another bright sunny day expected for your Thursday after that chilly start. Folks, it's going to be beautiful tomorrow afternoon. Light wind and those temperatures topping out right about where they should be for the time of year, in the low 60s as we're looking at 63 here in the metro. Let's talk a little bit about the impact weather that we're expecting on Friday. So Friday morning we're dry with mostly cloudy skies. As a weak boundary moves through, there you go, a chance for a few widely scattered showers late morning to about mid-afternoon, and that should be just about it as we clear the skies by Friday evening. Here's your forecast for this evening. Clear skies, quiet and cool, 60s back into the 50s. Detailed 12-hour forecast for tomorrow. Great looking November day. Chilly start, but we climb into the low 60s in the afternoon. We're 67 on Friday, that chance for a few widely scattered showers. Saturday is dry, but a few showers Saturday night are poised to move through. And it turns much colder Sunday and Monday.
And those festive flurries,
Maybe a couple flurries Monday morning.
Okay, thanks, Jay. Federal investigators are on the ground at the airport as the effort turns from rescue to recovery following the deadly UPS crash. Our team coverage continues at 6 with new stories from people who escaped the flames.